Hi, Taurus, Sun and Rising. Welcome to your January 2021 Astro Update. It's Raina here. Well, I think I've started this about 3 times. I've been hearing some brain farts. So anyway, like I was saying, I think this is going to be a great month for you. I think January tends to be a great month for Taurians because the sun is spending most of the month, or at least more than half of the month, in a fellow Earth sign. So that's a trine to you. And this is in the ninth house, which is Sagittarius's house. And so the sun is transing through this house that is all about expansion, whether it be through the mind, which is higher learning. So it can be university learning or even teaching. It can be your belief system, so philosophical beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and all activities that are associated with that. It's the house of long distance travel, which can mean that maybe there is some kind of a trip on the horizon, and given the shutdown, maybe it's been delayed, but you're finally going to get around to it. Who knows? It can manifest differently for different people. So on the 6th, Mars goes into your sign. So, because I have Taurus rising myself, I'm really looking forward to Mars going into Taurus. And this is because when Mars is in the sign right before your sign, it's in the 12th house. And Mars is in the 12th house has nowhere to go, but kind of creating that sense of, I don't know, maybe you have been feeling very pent up with your physical, energy. Now, it's not to say that none of you did anything vigorous in the last few months, because actually Mars has been in Aries for a long time. And it almost seems like it's been there for a year, the way that, but usually the transit of Mars, I believe, is around 7 weeks or something. I might be off by a week or so. But because of the retrograde in Aries, it delayed Mars going into Taurus. And so you've had a lot of this in the 12th house. The 12th house is a house of contemplation, meditation, that kind of thing. And Mars is very active, like especially physical. Mars rules Aries. It also co-rules Scorpio, but we associate with Aries, and Aries is the first house. The first house can be your body, So when Mars goes into your first house in your sign, you will probably notice an uptick in energy and wanting to move your body. And there's also just this push forward. If we look at the astrological chart as cycles, the 12th house is the completion of a cycle. And so Mars is in a new cycle. So that can feel very much like a new beginning of some sort of certain actions that you're taking and that kind of thing. On the 8th, Mercury goes into Aquarius, and so Mercury is now in that 10th house, along with Jupiter and Saturn. And this is about dealing with people who are in positions of authority. You might be speaking to them. An example would be if you're interviewing for a particular career position. Maybe you're doing public speaking. The 10th house is you talking to the public, public relations. Sometimes that's associated with the 7th house, but since this is this is your reputation, you may be like doing self-promotional thing that's connected to your career. On the 8th, on the same day, Venus, your ruler, Taurus, goes into Capricorn. So Venus is going into this area that is associated with wide open spaces, and higher education and things like that. Venus can bring money or love in a certain area. This could be falling in love with a foreigner. This could be having the money to be able to travel, or getting money for college, attracting that to you. On the 13th, we have the new moon at 23 degrees of Capricorn. So the new moon is in this ninth house. And, again, because this is a fellow earth sign, it's going to feel like it's flowing very nicely, like you're vibing with what this represents. So there's not that sense of a conflict, like when you have a square. The Aquarius energy is a square because it's an angular house. And by the way, I mean, it's important to note that just because something is a square or an opposition or something like that, that we call a challenging aspect, doesn't mean across the board, oh, this is going to be terrible in your life. I mean, sometimes these challenging aspects, they might ask a lot of you, more than you had expected, but you can bring your A game to it. And that means that you're able to achieve something because you're really pushing to achieve it. You're sometimes when things come easily to a person, if I see somebody's natal chart and they have a lot of trines, a lot of sextiles, who knows? Maybe they're born with money. Maybe they don't have to struggle as much, but they can have a sense of not having an identity. Maybe, things are handed to them, but they don't feel like they have their own sense of self, that they just, so sometimes when you have these struggles, they bring out the best in you, they show you what you're made out of, and they also help you to define what it is that you want versus what you don't want. They provide contrast, and that's how we can tell what we don't want. So they do serve a purpose. So in any case, you're going to have this new moon in this area that has to do with spirituality, long distance travel, and so on and so forth. Maybe you're entering college, and not necessarily at the age of 18. You might be 38, and you have always wanted to go to college, and you finally have made it possible. I believe that Pluto is in conjunction with this new moon. I mean, at the very least, I think it might be about 24 degrees of, yeah. And that can mean that it's giving you this sense of empowerment in this area. And this is where Pluto is transiting your ninth house right now. So that can be especially good for people who have the desire for some kind of like a healing arts career, something that you need a background in spiritual teachings, or that could be helpful in that way. So this new moon is in conjunction with the transiting Pluto. Also, this is good for people who want to publish something, because it can give that kind of an empowerment for your writing, for what it is that you want to put out into the world that has to do with publishing. On the 14th, Uranus goes direct at 6 degrees of Taurus. So Uranus is in Taurus. Now, I just told you that Mars went into your sign, and on this date, I happen to have my ephemeris here. There is going to be an exact conjunction between transiting Mars and transiting Uranus, now that Uranus is direct and it's at 6 degrees. So because this is falling in your first house, and for some of you, this will actually be the 12th house. this is an earlier degree of Taurus. And so some of you will still have Mars in your 12th house, even as January progresses. But either way, I think it can be very empowering because Uranus is this planet that wants to be its own person, have its own way of doing things, its own way of expressing itself. And Mars is the planet of action. So there can be this sense of breaking free of convention, breaking free of a mold that has been set by you from, society, conditioning, your parents, what have you. And in the 12th house, where many of you may have this situation with Uranus going direct, this can be breaking free of your karma. Maybe you've allowed yourself to believe that you're kind of a prisoner of your karma, and you realize that that it's a new day, that you can do whatever it means. I would say, when I say karma, I mean fate, believing in fate. And I do believe in fate to some degree, but I also believe that even if we're born into something, we can still change it. We have the power to change it ourselves. Even like the body that you were given, you may be given certain genetics, maybe, hereditary situations, maybe certain things that the body has a tendency to do, but you can still improve things from your own end. You don't have to just accept whatever's there. It's not like totally predetermined. So for those who have this happening in your first house, this may be just a general desire to break free in your life, and you may feel like everything is keep holding you back and you want to break free, because Taurus is a sign that tends to be kind of content with the status quo, I think. But now that Uranus is there, you may not feel that way. You may feel kind of restless, like you want to make changes. But if you don't feel that there is the possibility for change, that can make it very frustrating. But luckily, because Mars is in conjunction with Uranus, it's easier to find aligned action, to take aligned action. On the 19th, the sun goes into Aquarius, so the sun is going into that 10th house. And that sense of, so what do we have? We have the sun, we have Mercury, and we have Jupiter and Saturn in the 10th house. We got a loaded career sector. So this might be a month where career advancement is possible. And I would say, especially if you are focusing on it, because with the sun, you're putting your energy into something, your energy, your specific energy. On the 28th, we have a full moon at 9 degrees of Leo. There's another fixed sign, but in the opposite direction, in the 4th house of home and family. So this can be some sort of ending to a family situation. Sometimes this can even be putting your house on the market, because the 4th house can be real estate. Maybe you actually make the sale on the house. The full moon can give you some insights about your childhood. The 4th house can be your past, your roots. They say the father, I would say the mother, but parents in general. Finding out more about them, some kind of development with them, something coming to a head with them. On the 30th, we have Mercury going retrograde at 26 degrees of Aquarius in that 10th house of career. So that can be something that you're rethinking, maybe retooling, maybe the way that you do things, the way that you are selling your business, or, whatever your line of work is in, the way that you speak about it, the way that you advertise can come into question. But, this is something that people do anyway. But if you are looking for work, maybe you will hear from a company that you applied to months ago and you never heard back from them, and all of a sudden they contact you. So you never know, Taurus, you never know. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, please click on the link below to get more information on the type of readings that I offer. Have a great month. Bye.